Hello, welcome to the New Progressive Voice update for day 2. A few other results have come in for day 2, but before we go to that spreadsheet, I wanted to point out this important note. Numbers for the city of Milwaukee do not include absentee ballots, which have not yet recounted. Milwaukee counts its absentee ballots centrally, not at the polling place on election night. When those absentee ballots have been counted, the numbers will be updated. We are also noticing that there are some transposed rows in Douglas County. We will correct these in tomorrow's spreadsheet. So what does this mean? This means that the numbers I'm getting ready to show you are not numbers that we can rely on for day 2 because they're not counting the absentee ballots in Milwaukee, which is the largest city in the state of Wisconsin. So you can imagine it will very much change the total numbers for day 2. Nonetheless, what we can do is get an idea of the trending. I have now tabulated the totals of the day 2 recount, and what we can get from this is if there appears to be quite a bit of discrepancy between, and that'll give us an idea, at least somewhat, whether or not the original count was accurate. And so for that, what I've done here is the columns on the left that you're seeing in the beige color or the yellowish color, this is the original count totals from the counties that have come in. And you can see all the various numbers. Maybe about 10 to 15% has been done thus far on day 2. And you can see from the bottom row, you can see that I have included the name. For example, so far, the number or the counties or cities that have been counted, Trump is in the original count had 172,662, and with the recount, he has 171,092. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't include the absentee ballots. What's more important is the difference between these two. So right now, there's probably about 600 and so difference between Trump, original count, and recount. Clinton, on the other hand, has 11,000 difference between the original count and the recount. So that means that either people in the city of Milwaukee are more likely to vote through absentee ballots, or it means there's something going on here. If it has nothing to do with those in the city of Milwaukee more likely to vote through absentee ballots, then it clearly means that Clinton will most likely come out overcounted. Perhaps those absentee ballots might make a difference. We'll have to see. But it's something we'll keep our eye on. Johnson, he's off by about 140, which is about 8 or 9% off. With Stein, she's pretty much right on the mark. She had 3,269 and then 3,224. So unless she's only going to pick up, 40 absentee ballots in all of the city of Milwaukee, then her numbers are off. In fact, I would say that it's quite low. I would be surprised if she doesn't pick up another 100, 200, even 300 or 400 additional, which would mean that she's way off quite significantly, if that holds true. Again, we can't really use these numbers. They're not including the absentee ballot totals. I'm extrapolating based upon what we have here. What we have here thus far is Trump is roughly where the original count was. Clinton is off by 11,000. She's short 11,000, actually. And unless those absentee ballots are going to make up that 11,000, and almost everything will have to go to her in order for her to compensate. So she was overcounted, in other words, by almost 11,000. Johnson is about where we would expect him. So he might actually be a little undercounted. And Joe Stein most likely was undercounted as well. Now, some of the counties that definitely had their final tabulations, there were a couple of counties that had Joe Stein picking up around 30 additional ballots. Some picked up 10. There were even a couple where she actually lost 1 or 2 or 3. But in the washout, if you don't include Milwaukee, she picked up at least another almost 100 votes. And Trump actually picked up additional number of votes as well. He picked up around 50 to 100 votes. And Clinton ended up losing votes and somewhere in the 100 range. And then Johnson picked up about 50. So overall, what you're seeing is it appears Clinton is really the only one that's losing votes from this recount. Trump picked up votes, and most significantly in terms of percentage, Stein picked up the most votes. percentage-wise. And it's not including those absentee ballots in the city of Milwaukee. Now, once day 3 comes out, I'll do a video on that. That'll be tomorrow. I want to take you over to a post on Joe Stein's webpage from David Cobb. the campaign manager. And this was posted on Jill 2016. Trump margin in PA falls to 0.2% from the automatic recount, and statement on Trump motion to dismiss PA recount. And this statement in response to Donald Trump lawyers' motion to dismiss a PA recount. What is this post referring to? It's referring to Trump allies try to freeze recount efforts. Entities aligned with the president-elect file lawsuits in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to halt Jill Stein's push for recounts. I don't know why they're so desperate. Allies of Donald Trump are trying to freeze recount efforts in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, 3 states in which the president-elect narrowly beat Hillary Clinton, as they seek to preserve the legitimacy of Trump's win. Trump's attorneys filed a lawsuit in Pennsylvania late Thursday, requesting the dismissal of Green Party nominee Jill Stein's recount. On Friday, Michigan Attorney General filed a lawsuit to stop the recount there, a move that came hours after Trump attorneys had filed a complaint to block the proceedings. It's highly unlikely that Clinton could come out victorious after recounts in the 3 states, but the renewed focus on America's election systems and election day results come as Clinton's popular vote lead has soared beyond 2.5 million. It also comes just hours after Trump and Clinton aides convened at Harvard University on Thursday, throwing fresh jabs at one another over who won and who lost and how. And Trump pretty much ignored Stein until Clinton's campaign breathed life into the recount effort. And so you have a lot of pushback, of course, from different state attorneys as well as the Trump campaign. And then they put forth another lawsuit against the Michigan Board of State Canvassers to stop the recount there. Later on Friday, a court ruled against the super PAC's request to immediately stop the Wisconsin recount, but allowed the lawsuit to go forward. In an op-ed published Thursday on USA Today, Stein argued in the age of computerized voting machines and unprecedented corporate influence in our elections, our electoral system is under increasing threat. Even so, she explained that her aim isn't to change the election results, but rather, quote, ensure the integrity and accuracy of the vote, unquote. All Americans, regardless of party, deserve to know that this in every election is fair and that the vote is verified, she wrote. But let's go back to the post on Jill 26 webpage, and it says here, statement in response to Donald Trump's lawyer's motion to dismiss a PA recount. With his margin of victory in the state nearly halved as of last night, and now within 0.2% of triggering an automatic statewide recount, Donald Trump is desperately fighting to stop the recount in Pennsylvania. Last night, lawyers for Donald Trump filed a frivolous motion to dismiss the recount campaign's lawsuit, aimed at securing a statewide recount and forensic audit of voting machines. Nearly halved. Pennsylvania statewide, with Philadelphia tally now complete. Trump now has a lead of about 40-something thousand as opposed to 80-something thousand. So that's what they're referring to here. David Cobb, campaign manager for the Jill Stein campaign recount effort, has issued the following statement in response to the Trump team's motion. Quote, Donald Trump will do anything and everything to block Pennsylvania voters from knowing whether their votes counted. Why is he so worried about letting this recount move forward? We will continue to help Pennsylvania voters make sure that the election in Pennsylvania had integrity and that their votes counted, unquote. Inching up on Donald Trump in the state of Pennsylvania. I think it's worrying Donald Trump. So that's it for today's recount video, but please comment below. Tell me what you think. I wanted to make a couple quick replies to some comments left about the video I uploaded day 1 Wisconsin recount. And I did answer some of these because I just think people don't get it. Angel Corey says the voting machines weren't online, so she was an idiot to say they were hacked. LMAO. I said they don't have to be online to be hacked. Please get informed before insulting a hero. Because again, people are very, very sorely misinformed about what's really going on. They're not looking at online hacked machines. They're looking at standalone machines, much like databases where they input the data, the voting totals. Those can be hacked, pre-hacked, set up to code a certain way so that it takes certain votes away from Stein's column and puts them automatically over into someone else's column. Or certain counties might not even read her. Even if you scan in the votes, or if you type them in even, it won't matter because the computer won't read it because of the way a particular hack or bug has been set up into the computer system. So that's the thing you have to understand. It's not just about Russia or whatever else. It's about hacking on all levels. Online, offline, does not matter. And in fact, these particular anomalies were found offline. Okay, and then Angel goes on, lots of left, what difference does it make? New Hampshire, Hillary only won by 1,437 votes, and it was also very close in Nevada, where Hillary also won. My reply is, it is about percentage differences, not absolute numbers. New Hampshire is much smaller in population than is Wisconsin, so you are comparing apples and oranges. You cannot compare absolute numbers. If you were to take a look at New Hampshire's population and Wisconsin's population is almost 6 times larger. So in that instance, the recount would be much more than the 1,400. It'd be more like 9,000. And it's not just that only, it's also any anomalies that you're going to find in the data. And so far, no one has come forth. No data analyst, no statistician, no one has come forth asking for a lawsuit in the state of New Hampshire. Why? Because nobody thus far has found anomalies in the data. Nori Hope says, if you're stupid if you think she did this to find 7 votes and not to milk Hillary supporters of millions for action that will change nothing. So again, she didn't just pick up 7 votes. She picked up almost 30 votes, and that's quite significant because originally she had only 7 votes, meaning that she quadrupled the number of votes. She actually quadrupled via the recount, meaning that she only got about 20% of what she should have gotten in the first day count. So that's significant. That means that 3/4 of those that voted for Stein in that one county did not get their vote counted. So I call that very significant. And I think it is very sad that people believe that they don't want to look at the integrity of the election system. They're only worried about the horse race. My candidate won, and done deal. Just following after their leader, which is Donald Trump, who talked all the time on the campaign trail that he was going to set forth lawsuits to check into election system integrity, and once he wins, he's not interested. In fact, he's fighting against it. And even if it comes out that it was 7 votes, it still matters because those are 7 people that voted, and their votes are supposed to count. How would you feel, Nori, if you found out your vote was not counted? Would you be frustrated? Would you then call a recount or making sure your vote was counted? Dusty says, I saw a clip said Trump picked up over 400 votes, and he did actually pick up 400 votes overall, but he also lost votes. So overall, he picked up around 50 to 100 in Wisconsin thus far. Welcome TV says, ha ha ha, Trump for president 2016. Thanks, ha ha ha. And this just shows how uninformed the alt-right is and Trump supporters are in terms of what progressives actually stand for. We never were against Trump. In fact, we were more for Trump than we were for Hillary Clinton. We're for Jill Stein. We're for principles. We're not for Trump. We're not for Clinton. But if we had to choose between Trump and Clinton, many of us would have gone over for Trump. In fact, three-quarters of Bernie Sanders supporters went over to Donald Trump. And about a quarter went over to Jill Stein, another about quarter went over to Gary Johnson, and then another third, roughly a third, went over to Hillary Clinton. So almost less went over to Hillary Clinton than did Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, and just about as much went over to Trump. You're not really understanding, Welcome TV, what we stand for as progressives. And then John Smith writes, here's what the fuss was about. Nothing, absolutely nothing found. And he provides the spreadsheet. Of course, as you know from the first video, which obviously he didn't watch it because he's referring to the real reasons for the Jill Stein count video. Maybe he needs to go look at day 1 Wisconsin videos where I did point out to him, yes, there were votes found, and I don't have to go through those numbers, but you can take a look. And then he goes on and replies, New Progressive Voice, that's the entire state. There is nothing there. This is total fantasy. And why is this so concerning for John Smith? Because I told him that this is the smallest county, but he doesn't realize that. This is just one county and the smallest county. Only one thousandth of the vote thus far has been counted. Like 0.1% thus far has been counted for the state of Wisconsin. John Smith is jumping the gun here because he does not want to imagine. It doesn't matter to him unless his